Okay,
This
that's good.
conference will now be recorded.
Side by side is horizontal. What is vertical? It's vertical. Okay. And can we create an app service without app service plan? No. Why? App service plan. Set of compute resources will be given to the app service by app service plan. Without app service plan, we cannot create app services. Okay. So we have discussed about the custom domain and everything, right? Can we add custom domain to the app service? Yes. How to do that? So where you need to search within the app service on the left side, you need to search for custom domain. And once if you have the custom domain, then you can add the custom domain and you can achieve it. Okay. Where do you where do you see your hosted files in the app service? In which location? Kudu. Okay, that is an editor. Then what is the file location? www site and then root. Okay. So now I have hosted my application where app service and I'm able to see the package deployment and I am able to see the application is running. Now the question is, can we host our application on top of the VMs? If yes, how? So we'll discuss today about that. So first we will go with the user interface and see what we can do. So I think we are using which one's portal? So I think we are using this here. Hmm. What is staging slot? Why we use staging slots? To reduce the downtime, we use staging slots. Okay. How do you get that option? Where do you see that option? Deployment slots. Okay. And how to change the technical stack of the app service? Where you can find it? Technical stack. You know technical stack, right? Java, .NET. So where do you want to change that? Under general settings, you will be able to make the changes there. Okay. Now, one more doubt. When I am creating the app service, that time I have selected ASP.NET 4.8. By default, it has taken Windows. Somebody created it, and they asked me to find out what is the operating system of that app service. Is it possible for you to find it or not? Let's consider this is the app service. Somebody created it. They asked me to find out the version of this. If it is Windows, what is the version number? Okay. So here you think that here it is going to show. Okay, just refresh this page. So where do you see that? Here it is showing as app service plan, health not configured, URL is this and all this. Is it possible for you to find where you can see that information? I want to enter a command called ver, where I can enter that within the app service. Huh? Correct. If you go to console, in the console, you can enter a command, type ver, and you will be able to find out the version of the Windows operating system or whatever it is. This was an interview question. How to find out the operating system version for an app service? So you need to go to the console and there you need to type ver. Then it is going to show you the version number of that Windows operating system or whatever it is. Okay, till this point app service is fine. I want to upload 100 files to the app service. How is it possible? WinSCP, through WinSCP. To connect to the app service, first I need to have username and password, right? So where do I get that? Hmm? Go to deployment center. So search for deployment center, and there you will be able to see FTPS credentials. So take that FTPS credentials or take this deployment credentials. Here you will be able to see FTP and FTPS. So by copying the user ID and password, you will be able to connect to that and upload or download anything you can do. Okay, next. So we have discussed about app service. Let's discuss about the app service plan. So by definition, we know that whatever the resource that is required for the app service is given by the app service plan. So this is my plan. And if I go to the apps, whatever the number of app services that are created by this using this app service plan, it is going to show you here. And you know about what is scale up and scale out. Okay. I want to scale up. So whatever the number of version that you want to go with the pricing tier, you can go from here. What is the difference between one price to another price? Yeah, features. What are the features that you can see? Name any two. If I go with the free tier, nothing. If you go with this one, you will get traffic manager, you will get automatic manual scaling and all this. So you need to explain at least one or two. That's right. So understand at least 3 to 4 plans. F1, S1, P1 V1, P2 V2. So P1 V2, P2 V2. Fine. P1 V3 also is there. So just for your understanding. And other than this, there won't be any options in the app service plan. So these are the main things that is required in the app service. Okay. There is one more concept called networking. When we are discussing about the networking, I will explain this. Okay. So we discussed app service and app service plan, and we hosted our application on app service, and we are able to browse it. Till this point, it is fine. Can I host? So, like, can I host my application on top of the virtual machines? Yes. How? Before this cloud came into the market, what the people are going to do is they are going to create the VMs. On top of the VM, they are going to install a web server. Basically, why do they use web server to host their web applications? You might have heard about some of the web servers like Apache Tomcat, Nginx. All these are web servers that are available in the market. For example, in this laptop, I want to host my application. In this laptop, I am going to install web server. And on top of the web server, I need to host my application. Right now, everybody is using cloud. So that's why what I have done, I created app service and simply hosted it. But before it was not like this. They need to create the VM and they need to install the web server and they need to host the application. So first we need to host the application, right? For that we need to have a virtual machine. As of now we do not have anything. So just create a machine. So I want to create a new resource group after that because I want to delete it after some time. VM1, I'm going to keep it as VM Windows. Which location? US3. No infrastructure. You know about already how to create a VM, right? Availability options, keep it as no infrastructure. Security type standard. Here you need to select the operating system. I'm going to take Windows 2019, 2016 or anything. You need to take the size of this. I'm going to take 3.5 GB of RAM. So SA admin India at 1234556. Copy paste of this is not possible. Fine. Inbound port rules, outbound and inbound. So let me explain this. Let's take a new one. Whenever I create a VM, how many resources it will create? Six. What are they? VM, VNet, public IP, network interface card, operating system, and there will be one more thing which I'm not able to find. Public IP, network interface card, OS disk, VM. Okay, let's see. Now how it will create, right? So VNet in the sense it's a private network. VNet stands for virtual network. As of now, understand like this. VNet. By taking this VNet, you created a VM. This is my VM. Within the private network, I created a VM. The VM name I am going to keep it as VM Windows. Now I am a user. I am a user from outside the world. I am just a user. I want to access the application that is there in the VM. So that means I'm entering the private network or not? I'm entering. So for private network, there will be some security, right? What kind of a person should be allowing into the network and on which port number he needs to allow. So let's discuss about some port numbers. Take this google.com. It is secure or not secure? For secure, the port number is 443. That means HTTPS 443 is the port number. If it is not secure, the port number is 80. 80. Okay. So it is fine. I know the port number of HTTP and HTTPS. Now let's go back to the VM. Inbound port rules. From outside, they want to enter inside the private network, right? That is called inbound. So from this network, a request needs to go out. That is called as outbound. From outside the world, the request should come inside to the private network. That's why I'm calling it as inbound. From this VM or from this VNet, the request should go out. That is what I'm calling as outbound. Okay. Now here it is asking me, do you want to have some inbound port rules? Yes, I want to have public inbound ports. Allow selected ports. If you want to connect to the RDP, RDP is needs to be enabled. Like the same way, I want to enable port number HTTP and HTTPS. Since this is a Windows machine, SSH is not required. If it is a Linux machine, SSH is required. So I am allowing these three port numbers. Okay. Licensing. Save up to 49% with the license you already own using a Azure hybrid benefit. If you are already having some subscription, like a Microsoft subscription, then you need to provide this. But during your complete course, we are not going to use this. So see this, only the basic tab, I just build all this and create this. Sometimes this fails. You just need to go back where it is getting failed. Public IP. Okay, that's fine. See the size of the VM, DS1, V2. So they are going to ask you some of the questions like what are the different kind of standard types for a VM? DS1, V1, DS1, V2. You just need to at least remember two to three. That's fine. And see, I haven't made any change. So this was a simple glitch. So just create it. So they are going to charge me 8 rupees per hour. Okay. Now I just created a VM. And after that, what I was saying was you need to install what? Web server. Okay. First, I want to see what is a web server and what are the different kind of tools that are available for a web server. Web server. See this. Mm, what is a web server and how does it work? See here they are giving some examples like what are the different kind of web servers that are available in the market. A web server is a software and hardware that uses HTTP and other protocols to respond. So basically, how does a user from the outside world, from the world, how he can access the application through HTTP and HTTPS calls? That's what they are trying to say. If it is HTTP, the port number is 480. HTTPS 443. Okay. So this is what the simple thing. Okay. If anyone wants to access their application, they need to use a web server. Okay. What are the different kind of web servers available in the market? Web servers list. All these are web servers: caddy, jetty, livespeed web server, Apache HTTP, Nginx, Tomcat, Lite HTTP. And among all of these, there are some few famous things which will be used commonly. Apache Tomcat, this is Internet Information Service. That means IAS. IAS, Apache Tomcat, Nginx, these are the major things that everybody uses in the real time. So first we will go with IAS. Why I am going with IAS, I'll tell you. This was a Microsoft one, IAS. So once the VM is created, we need to install this. How we can install, I'll show you. So this is created. So go to this VM. Inside this VM, you can see the number of resources that it created. See, network interface card, disk, network security group. Earlier I forgot this. Network security group, IP address, virtual machine network. I want to connect to this Windows VM. Copy the IP, Windows R, MST, SC. This is the IP and username. Password is this. So once you provided and you logged into the system, what you need to do is install the web server. As mentioned in the list, I am going to go with IAS, Internet Information Services. So this was a Windows one. Okay. So in Windows, you will be having a feature to install IAS, but by default it is turned off. If you want to install it, you can install it. It is a by default feature in Windows. By default, it is turned off. But if you want to install, you can install. How? Let's see. So you are able to see server manager, right? Okay. So we need to wait for it until it loads. See, it is loading here. See this. We need to wait until that loads. Okay. Now it is done. Add roles and features. Yes, I want to add role and feature. Click on next. Next. Take all the defaults. You don't have to change anything. Next. So what is the role that you want to install? I want to install web server. The web server name is IAS. Add this feature to the Windows. Next. When you are installing, by default it is going to install these two. Let's see this. A .NET framework will be installed. When you are installing IAS, by default a .NET framework is going to be installed. This was an interview question. When I am installing IAS, what is the default feature that I am going to get? .NET framework. Okay. Click on next. Continue. I haven't changed anything. Simple. I just went into the defaults. Next, 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 like this. So I am just installing IAS on my Windows machine. When you created app service, how did you say that it is working? When you created an app service, how did you browse it? By URL. And once you browsed it, how can you say that it is running? So there is some default page, right? By looking into the default page, you understood that it is running. Now I have installed IIS. Somehow I need to browse the web server, right? How I can browse it? Simply, you just need to take the public IP address of the VM. Copy this and we need to wait till it completes. Okay, we'll wait. Installation succeeded on VM Windows. Fine. Just close this. Till this point, it is fine. What is the next step? I want to know whether it is installed or not. Okay. If it is installed, how can I browse the web server? I told you take the IP address and browse it here itself. Windows Server Internet Information Services. So IAS is installed. I can clearly say that. And if you see here, it is not secure. That means it is on port number 80. Okay. So if IAS web service is showing you this page, that means somewhere in the background there is a code, right? So where that code will be? So for this code will not be there. So I went into the VM, and in the VM you need to go for this PC C drive. Under C drive you will be having inetpub. Inetpub. Open this. Root. So this is the HTML page and this is the image. Open this. This is the image that you are able to see there, right? Now if you have a doubt, you want to confirm it. So keep it as VM. So just need to write something. Save this. If I saved in the original code, there also it should show, right? Okay. Refresh this. Yeah. So that is the original code that I am able to see. Now till this point it is fine. I created a web server and I'm able to browse the web server, and I know where, in which location I need to make the deployment to make my application run. Okay. What is the location to make your deployment? C drive, inetpub, root. Inside that you need to make the deployment. Okay. So I have this file. That's why it is loading by default. So there should be a default document that is also there, right? So where is that? So let's go to the VM, and in this VM, so if you go to server manager, so this is the thing, right? Server manager is there, right? Even if you close it, go to the programs button, click on search for server manager, you will be able to get this. Okay. Now IAS is there. See, I installed it. Click on this IAS. Do you get any kind of information here? No. So go to tools. Here you need to look for IAS manager, Internet Information Services Manager. So this is my IAS, and I have a VM. Inside the VM, I have a site. Under the site, I have the default website. And if you want to search it, so see this. I have a site, default website. Now this website is running on VM, right? Okay. From where I did browse that? From my local system, I browsed it through public IP. If I want to browse here itself in the local VM itself, you can directly browse it using here. See, browse colon 80. See, through Internet Explorer, it is going to open, but this will take a lot of time. That's why I'm not suggesting you to use this. Cancel this and see how did it open. See the address. See the address, localhost. That means it is running on local system, not my system in the VM. Okay. If you want to browse here, you can browse it here. Okay. Till this point, it is fine. By default, they provided one document, right? So in app services, what is the default documents? Index.html, hosting start.html. Like this, if you go to the default documents, here we have ias start.html and verify it. Where is this? ias start.html page, right? So that's why it is by default loading that ias. Okay. Now I want to host my own application. Is it possible or not possible? Possible. Okay. How? What you can do is, so first I will complete this and then I will go to the next. So default website is fine. You here in this page you can do the default you can provide the default document. And as of now, on which port number my application is working? Port number 80. I want it to run on port number 81. Is it possible or not possible? Yes, it is possible. If it is possible, how we can make it? So here we will be having bindings. So by default it is running on port number 80. So that's why it is mentioned as port number 80 and 81. I want to edit this. I want to run it on top of port number 81. Just OK and close this. Now go to your browser and see. This won't load. See, it is keep on running. It will load whenever you mention port number 81. 81 also it is not running. Why? See, understood the question, right? Earlier it is running on port number 80 and I am able to browse it. But right now what I have done was I made my application to run on port number 81. But again, here also I am not able to get that. What might be the issue? I will give you the hint. This is the hint. Hmm? Request? Okay. Think about it. Hmm? No, this is the hint actually. This diagram, by looking into the diagram, you can understand. No, not URL. Hmm? Not output. Huh? Not VM. Exactly. Earlier, how many ports we enabled? Two ports. Sorry, three ports. RDP, HTTP, HTTPS. Did we enable 81 port number? So that's why it is not allowing me. Understood the point. So we need to enable port number 81 also to the network security group. Then only it will allow, it will take my request inside the VNet. Okay. Now let's do that. So for this VM, if I go to networking and here I'm able to see the port numbers, right? Inbound port rules, outbound port rules. I need to add in inbound or outbound? Inbound. So add the port number rule. From where do you want to get the request? Any. To where? Any port number. Destination should be anything. What port number it needs to allow? 81. And do you want to provide any name for it? Yes. Keep it as 81. Name is allow. Name is 81 and the action I want to keep it is allow. The protocol, any kind of protocol it is. Add this. So I just added one port number rule to the inbound rules. So once this is added, then we will try again to browse it. And looks like it is done. We just need to refresh this to make the to see the changes. Not okay. Let it load. Meanwhile, we will try to browse it here. See, port number 81 is added. Okay, fine. wherever you see these kind of loading issues or anything, even after you made all the changes, I want you guys to take a new one and try to search for here. That's fine. Let me just cross check. If I go to the bindings, yes, I made it to be running on port number 81. That's fine. And the default document that is already available there, no need to change. Or else simply I can browse it here itself, right, in the VM itself. So here it is trying to browse through port 80. Let me check. It opened or not. So if you want to work with the Internet Explorer, then you need to have a lot of patience. Yeah, see this. See what the problem is, I'll tell you. Still, if you see here, it is trying to browse on port number 80, but it is not the actual one, right? And that's fine. Everything is fine here. Why it is not responding? Take this port number 81 and 81 and the port number and this. We allowed inbound port rule, and then I'm just trying to change this advanced settings. There won't be much options. I shall okay, just restart the service. So the app service is restarted and see this. Now you are able to see 81, right? I just restarted it to make the changes to take effect. Now if you browse it here itself, see it is running on which number? 81. And you will be able to see here also. If you take port number 81. Okay, let it load. Yeah, at least here we will be able to see. Okay, leave it. Anyhow, it is taking a lot of time, which is what. Here you are able to see that it is browsing on port number 81 only, right? Okay. I want to host my own application on top of an app web server. First, I need to have the original code. In which location I need to keep my original code, like original build artifact. I need that. That means I need to set dot HTML page where I need to keep it under inetpub root. So once you keep your file there, then you will be able to access it. Now let's keep our own thing. So first I need to have a HTML file, right? We have test2. This is a HTML file. Yeah. I want this I want this application to be available in the IIS web server to access it. Copy this. Go to the VM and in this location in the inetwork under root I need to have this file. So I have it here. Test2 is there. Okay. Now, if you go here and go to IAS, by default one website is running and I don't want to make use of this. Or else, whatever, okay, just try to think like this. I have the default website, but in the background, I have two HTML files. By default, it is taking which HTML file? IAS.html file. I want it to take my test2.html page. Can we make the change? Yes. Where? So if you go to if you take explore, what happens is on which directory this site is created. It is this site is taking the page, it is going to show you. It's not test2. I just need to cancel this. So if you go to if you just explore it, it is going to show you where is your code file set. Okay. And if you take edit permissions, what kind of permissions does this directory has? Okay, read only as of now. And then if you go to this bindings, you will be able to bind the port number. By default it is running on port number 81. Fine. Go to basic settings and see here the default website that is under default pool is taking the physical path from this location. Okay. If you want to make this, you can just simply select the folder level itself. That's fine. Folder level you need to select it. Okay. And okay, done. Now where I need to make change to get the test2.html? Yes, default documents. We already have is.html. That's why it is able to take only this one. So remove this. I need to provide the test2, right? Add it. Test2. If you keep test2, you have it out. It's a test2.html file, right? I kept only test2. Okay, just keep it like this. Now browse it. Till this point it is fine. Earlier we are able to see IIS page. Now it is showing, see what? Forbidden. So that means it tried to access my test2 dot or not. See, the web server is configured, but it is not listed in the contents of this directory. Okay, that is fine. So it is trying to access my test2.html. How to fix that issue? I'll explain you when we are discussing about the web.config file. So right now you are able to understand, right? It is trying to take my page. That's why it fall into some error. Forget about the error. It tried to access. That's fine. Okay. Now, if you want to restart this web server, you can restart the site wise as well. And if you want to stop it, you can stop it. If you go to advanced settings, see, you won't be having much information in this. These are normal things. Now, whatever the default website is there that I have taken and kept my test file there. I want to create one more site and I want this application to run on port number 80. So that means on a one web server, how many applications I am hosting? Two. One is running on port number 80, another is running on port number 81. I want to add a website. The website name is called demo. So from where it should take the HTML page? So it should take under C drive, inetpub, and root folder. Okay. So this is the path. And on which port number it needs to run? We already kept 81. If I again try to keep 81, it is not going to allow me to take it. So I just keep it as 80. Okay. So demo is created and I want to browse this. Browse this. See 4040314 forbidden. Okay, this is also fine. Now I want to provide the default document for this demo. Test2 is there. Test2 is the default document. What I'm going to do is add HTML. Okay, I just added this and I just want to restart it and try to browse this. You understood what was the mistake? Earlier you just kept test2. Actually you need to provide the .html extension. Then only it is going to load. Okay, since you have created this as a new one, so that's why you are able to access this. It's not like this. I'll tell you. Take the default website also. For this also, test2.html is there, right? Just restart this. Once after restart, try to browse it. For this also you will be able to see, right? Port number 81, port number 80. Understood? So by default, if there is no port, that means port number 80 only. Okay. Now we have seen IAS web server and we have uploaded the code file that needs to be running as an application on top of the web server. And in which location we know that whatever I have done, everything is manual. Now we need to make this as a automated. How can we do this? Okay, let's consider the package is already ready on our CI pipeline. Now we want these applications to run on web server. Earlier, how did you make deployments to the app service? In the release pipeline, Azure App Service deployment you have done. But this is IaaS deployment, right? How can we make the deployment to this? Okay, so let's go to the release pipeline. So what do we have? Yeah. So this is our Azure DevOps, and in this, I want to create a pipeline to make the deployment on top of IaaS machine. So the task will be IaaS only. Let's take this. Go to pipelines, go to release pipeline, and I want to create a new one. Create a new release pipeline. I am going to make it as make the pipeline. So select a template. Is it Azure App Service deployment? No. IaaS website and SQL database deployment. IaaS website I know, but what about the SQL database? So this is not the one. So I will go with the empty job for now. I am going to keep it as IaaS stage. Fine. And I am going to release pipeline name as IaaS. Fine. First, I need to add the artifact that is generated from the CI pipeline. CI లో మీకు వచ్చిన అవుట్పుట్ ని తీసుకొచ్చి ఇక్కడ యాడ్ చేయాలి. ఏ పైప్లైన్ నుంచి వస్తుంది మీకు అవుట్పుట్ అంటే టేక్ ఎనీ ఏ పైప్లైన్ వచ్చిన ఐటీ సిఐ అగైన్. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద output that I need to get from this pipeline. IAS is the like here stay in this stage. If you go back here, this is the IAS deployment. Under the agent tab, we need to add the task, right? Click on add. What is the task name? IAS. 1 second, guys. I'm just regarding a call from them. Okay. So in the release pipeline, so we were discussing about the release pipeline, right? So we need to have where we need to make the deployment on IAS web server. So I was selecting IAS web app apply, IAS web app manage. What does these two do? So just add this first. Let's see what it will do. First, before deploying, first I want to manage that. Then only I will deploy it. Okay. So let's see the options. IAS website manage, create or update. What is the website name? Default website or test 2. Wherever you see website name, this is the site name, right? Default website demo. This is the site name. Okay. Let's keep it as test 2. What is the physical path? Okay. On the system, go to inetpub and deploy it there. Okay. Physical path authentication. How do you want to authenticate? So just keep it as pass through only as of now. And if you want to add any port numbers, go with the bindings and add the port numbers here. Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with the port number 80 only. And go to deploy IIS website. What is the website name? Test. Is it a virtual application? So just leave it as it is. Package or folder. Whatever the zip package that I get, deploy it on top of the site root folder, like inetpub folder. The package that I receive is .zip package from the system.default working directory. That means from the pipelines. And it should be a zip package. Take this package and deploy it there. Where? iNetwork. Somewhere. Like think like this. Now I just configured all the steps. Now if I just save this and run this, is it going to be deployed on top of the VM? Yes or no? If no, why? Hmm? Okay, you are concerned about the zip file, right? Now will it deploy or not? Just think about it. You have created two tasks and you mentioned whatever the task that you want to execute, but to which VM? Did you configure that anywhere? Did it ask for username or password? So then how does it know like it is going to be deployed on only on top of that VM out of 100 VMs? That's a point, right? So when you want to make deployments to the machines, you should not be doing like this. So what you need to do is you need to create a group. This is called as deployment group. In this deployment group, whatever the VMs that you have, one, two, three, these three are called VMs. I want to deploy an application on top of these three VMs. So where I can make the deployment on group level. So inside the group, how many VMs we have? Three VMs. So the three VMs will be able to make the deployment, right? Okay. But as of now, what I understood was only deployment group we need to add the VMs. Okay. First, for the deployment group inside this three VMs we have, and we need to make the deployment group level job execution. That's fine. But first, these three are there. Let's consider we want to have one more VM. So that one more VM where I need to add inside the deployment group, right? How we can add the VMs to the deployment group? This is the point. So I can make the deployment on a group level so that any VM can take the IIS deployment task and it will execute. So the question is how I can add the VM to the deployment group. So whatever the machines that you have here, virtual machines are called as target machines. These are called as target machines. How we can add them? So this is going to be a big concept. Like it will take one day for you to show it and set it up. Meanwhile, what I will show you is these two tasks is not going to work for you as of now because nowhere they have asked us, sir, they have asked for what is the username of the VM password, how do you want to authenticate, nowhere they asked. So this is not going to work for you. So the next thing that we need to do is deployment groups. So just leave this. We need to go to the deployment groups. First you need to create a deployment group. In the deployment group you need to add the VMs, and once the VM is ready, then only you can make the deployment to that group. Okay, take a scenario. Today I'll just discuss about the theoretical part. From tomorrow we'll just see the practical. Let's take another example. I have 100 virtual machines. In that 100 virtual machines, I want to make a deployment at the same time. What you can do? So first you will create a deployment group. In that deployment group, you will keep on adding the 100 VMs. Okay. If I make the deployment on top of the group level itself, every VM will take the job. I have one more requirement. I have one deployment group. In that deployment group, I have 100 VMs. First 50 VMs are for development environment. Second 50 VMs are for production environment. I want to make a deployment only to development. Is it possible or not possible? Understood the question. Within the same deployment group, I have, let's consider 4 VMs like this. These two are for dev and these two are for production. If I make the deployment on the group level, every VM will take it. I don't want to happen like this. So how can I make the deployment to only to these out of 4? So that's why what we are going to do is we are going to give a tag to the VM. Based on the tag, make the deployment. If for these two VMs, I'm going to keep dev as the tag. So when I want to deploy to only dev environment, I will use the tag. So these two VMs only will be available with the tag. So it will make deployments to only those two. Understood? Like this, we are going to have multiple number of VMs in a single deployment group, and within the single deployment group, we can make deployments to a specific VMs. Okay. So till this point, any doubt? What is the web server that you have used? IAS. How to install IAS? Go to server manager, add roles and features, install IAS. What is the default page in the IAS? IAS.html file. Okay. Basically, the web server by default runs on which port number? So the web server by default runs on port number 80. What is the port number for HTTPS? 443. What is the port number for RDP? That we have seen, right? We haven't seen. 3389. 3389 is the port number for RDP. You are able to connect to the machine, right? How you are able to connect through RDP, remote desktop. In the inbound portal, RDP is enabled. That's why you are able to connect to this. If it is disabled, what we can see? I'm just going to make this as, instead of allow, I'm going to keep it as deny. Now try to see this VM request will go off. It won't be able to connect. Once this is done, now you understand the inbound and outbound port roles, right? So successfully updated. Just cancel this. Now try to connect to that VM. 188 only, I think so. You won't be able to connect to this way because it is denied. Okay. So if you have any questions, let me know.